I'm Joe Worthington from Vizlib. We are a Qlik technology partner, and I used to work at Qlik actually on the healthcare team, and built this clinical trials application and been working on it for the last few weeks to give a better understanding of clinical trials that are related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I want to orient you to the application that I built here really quickly and walk you through some of the capabilities that we add into Qlik Sense. Looking at the 119 or so conditions related to COVID virus and coronavirus and respiratory diseases, we're looking at studies that have started or have an anticipated start date in 2020, giving us 839 studies. And on our Vizlib line chart, I dropped this annotation that shows us on March 11th that the WHO declared the pandemic. And you can see because of that, there have been a number of studies that have anticipated start dates since that date. Now, if we want to look at maybe just the studies that are in phase 2, where we're starting, proof of concepts for efficacy, phase 3, where we're into those groups and doing larger studies, and then phase 4, doing some of those, safety studies that you do to identify the latest risks, we get down to 359 studies that are currently in progress potentially. We do have some statuses, so we can, uncheck the ones like withdrawn or suspended, maybe only looking at certain ones of these. But you can see there are a number of mesh term conditions related to this. I can switch it out and look at the actual names of the conditions, and we see there's a good number here related to COVID and coronavirus and with those names, but a fair bit of others that factor into there. Looking at how it flows into the phase or the status, but maybe we want to see the sponsor to see who's really contributing potentially the most to these studies. We can see some interesting things kind of pop up with Assistance Publique, a hospital in a different country it looks like, or Tanta University, Prajema University of Minnesota is on here quite a few times as well. So it gives you a way to interact with this information and get my picture out of the way a little bit there so you can see some more. But the visuals are highly interactive. The sand key is a great way to see, in this case, how the studies kind of flow through these different dimensions. This is a great way to navigate this information and see where either bottlenecks are or where you have, say, a lot of volume. So we can see very quickly on the chart, phase 2 has the most studies going on, kind of reflecting what we see in our bar charts. But this is only one side of the story. This is just things that are started or active. We want to use a visualization called a Gantt, which you might think of being related to, say, just the project management office. But Gantts are also, in our case, considered a timeline type of view. So when we want to visualize this information on a timeline, well, we need a start date and an anticipated end date, and then some type of task. In this case, we give it the name of the study and the NCT ID. And we're loading up a few things here so that you can see how we can interact with this data. So it's some of those same things. I'll walk you through what some of these other visuals are on the screen. But first, we'll narrow into, say, the Gantt chart. And we're seeing every single study broken out by the sponsor, in which particular overall status that the studies are in. And the blue line that I put here again is this WHO has declared a pandemic. The red line is actually today, the current date, so you can see where we're at in a number of studies. And this is a really interesting view because you can see studies are not really anticipated to wrap up in many of these cases until the fall or even a year or two out. So the Gantt is a great way to see multi kind of year data down to, you can do things like by the hour, by the minute even. So we have life science companies using the Gantt to see their particular studies and the processes and time points, the milestones, and this is just one view of the Gantt. But I wanted to note that so we can look at those particular ones that say have completed and they've wrapped up even before oh, sorry, yeah. They have already wrapped up. We're just into May now, or right at it. And so you can see these particular things. If you hover over any of the tasks, you'll get some more information about the NCT ID, what the full name or brief title is of the study, what phase, where it's completed, who the sponsor was. So the tooltips are highly customizable, allowing you to bring in additional information. And in some cases, you can actually bring in images and things too, although I didn't do that in this example. But let's say I did make some type of insight and I wanted to share this with the group. Most of the time, people will take snapshots and share it in a story, or maybe they'll do a screenshot and put it into a PowerPoint, or even export the data, say into Excel or something like that. But we think there's a better way, and this is where this little panel comes in here related to collaboration. And so Vizlib Collaboration is this product we have that allows you to talk about the insight that you created, and you'll see there was even selections that were made. So I'm, I want to say we want to look at this Henon study. If I double click on it, it actually narrows me down into the selection that I made, and I share this insight actually with my team. Or maybe we wanted to look at this other one over here around this particular treatment, or we need to look at this particular university. So I'm making these insights. I'm anticipating this one to wrap up by the end of April. And as I step through this, it's actually taking me through that thought process with my team. So we're going to clear a few of these maybe and go back. Here's all the phase 4 studies. We'll just make another selection here. Maybe we want to only look at those that are recruiting. I'm going to show you how we're going to make a new comment. And we see the list of the 9 studies that are currently recruiting. So I'll tell my team, these are the 9 we should review today. And I'm going to click the share button. And I'm going to be able to not only share it in this thread that's inside of the application, but also share it out to either secured emails that my system administrator can set up, or also into collaboration platforms like Slack or Teams. If I were to share this to Slack, it would end up in a particular channel. It would have the comment that I made. These are the 9 we should look at today. I didn't spell that right. And it will also provide a link back to the application. So it'll take that person from whatever application they're in back into Qlik. It will highlight the comment that I made and also put the selections in place. So it's kind of like sharing a bookmark, but we have a lot more context around it. In a number of cases, you can also attach or an image of the visualization, so you can bring that insight out into other areas like your email, Slack, or Teams. So we'll hit share that comment. It's immediately posted here, and if I had Slack open, which I don't currently, we'd actually see it pop up there. So this is a great way to keep people in the flow of the data. We have organizations using this to change the way they drive their meetings, often requiring that comments are put in and that others either have a conversation around it or they step through this during the meeting. And so it's a really unique way of talking about the information that may be in the application or may be external forces. So anything is fair game here. And if we wanted to do some self-service reporting, I guess I should point this out. This top toolbar is our sheet menu. We're able to customize the look and feel of Qlik Sense. And so I put in a navigation menu that allows us to step through to other sheets in the application, much like you would in, say, a QlikView application if you're familiar with the entry product from Qlik, the older product, or from other applications where you want to have a certain guided experience. We can also build side menus, and you can have other buttons that you can put on the top. So organizations love this because they can set a particular look and feel and have a process for each application that is consistent for their organization. But here what we're seeing is a ad hoc report on steroids. And actually, I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to start from scratch because I think this is a really unique way to get information out of Qlik and interact with your data. So I could type in what I'm looking for, or I can simply click this microphone button, and we'll see if this works. Think about what I want to ask here, I guess. Show me, kind of turn on my microphone. And actually type that in there. Let me clear that out. Show me studies by country and condition. And it goes through, it thought that this would be a line chart. We can change the visualization, for instance, over to, say, a table, where I could have asked it that. And it's going to tell me these particular conditions that it's talking about in these countries. These are the number of studies that they have. I could also add in the brief title of the study, or maybe the NCT ID, which is in the list, and rearrange these things so that I can create the report that I want to maybe share with my colleagues, or I want to save it for myself. I can even filter on these particular things. So if I want to filter and only look at studies from the United States, we can narrow down to those particular studies out of that grouping and export this information. You can also save off and customize the reports or presets that you want people to use. So I had one related to publications, which I know is a really common use of searching through ClinicalTrials.org, is to get any publications that may be available. So these are the PubMed IDs related to these completed studies. It would put these all into place. I can export this, or I can put the link in there and actually jump out to PubMed directly from here. So this ad hoc report is a really great way to give you the flexibility to put in a governed set of information that your users can pick from, and they can simply turn on and turn off what they want in the report, rearrange things, filter, sort to their heart's content, and do that final step, which may be exporting or even creating additional visualizations like you saw. And this is just a few of the things that this application can do. Would be happy to take you through it. I probably blocked some of it, so I apologize for that, and hope we can talk soon. Thank you.